Hi everyone, it's Mary Carbundance. So I got a comment on my German channel. It's from Jacqueline Duver. And she says, so it's in German, so I'm going to translate it. I sometimes miss skim quark. Like it's actually a little bit like cream cheese in terms of production, but very, very low fat. But so it's dairy, it's an animal product. And she says, but I just can't do it anymore in terms of ethics. How do you deal with your bad conscience, like that you feel bad about it, due to the cows? And so this really hit home for me, this comment, because it's just exactly what I had to struggle with when I was starting recovery. And just to make the decision at all to consume any kind of animal products. And it still, to be honest, it still is in some form. I just learned to know that this is what I have to do. And I'm trying to come up now with things that help me to justify this. Because I feel this so much. I really also felt like I cannot justify this. I felt like I am doing harm to the animals, you know, just by buying these things. And of course, once you know how things are in the mass industry, you just can't anymore. That's exactly how I felt. And so, first, there is the fact that not every animal product is produced the same way. And so there is the general difference between the mass industry, very cheap products, and the organic free, like range free, no, cage free, like very kind of free living animals. There is a difference, like these, but of course you have to pay a lot of money. For example, in Germany, it's the brand Demeter, where it's not only organic, but it's actually like the animals have an enormously better life than conventionally treated animals. And so, but the thing is, and as you also see in my videos, I am actually not right now buying the most expensive ones, even if they are no doubt much more ethical, ethically justifiable also. The thing is that for me right now, in my, just for you to know, in my situation, I cannot go from one obsession to the next, to another one. I cannot go where I'm now. Okay, I eat everything, but it has to be organic, and it has to be like super ethically raised and whatever, and everything has to be perfect for that animal. It's just such a toxic mindset for me, and it just would cause in me restricting again. It's just another form of restriction. And so that is also something that my eating disorder would like me to do. It's like, of course my ethics want me to do that. It's my real self, I want to do that. But so that's the right motivation behind it, but then it's also the wrong motivation behind it, and that is my eating disorder. And it just kind of, and anything that my eating disorder is saying, I have to do the opposite in order to rewire those fears in my brain. I have to get rid of it completely and just rewire everything. I have to rewire everything, no exception. And so in order for that to happen, I have to now actually stand back a little in my ethical convictions in order for me to completely 100% recover from this lifelong eating disorder, you can say. Well, since I'm 13, but yeah. And so there is no way around it. I tried it for a decade and several years to just, you know, to ethically recover from the eating disorder, and it was not possible. I got stuck every time. And so the good thing is you don't have to plan in advance what will happen when. But what helped me was, second, I was realizing and really telling myself, and this is how it is, that you can go back anytime later. Like when you are recovered, you can do whatever you want. Like you should not go into restriction again, but you don't have to plan now what will happen when. For you, your task now is to recover 100% and to get rid of all of these fears. And for you now, your task is to put yourself first. And I know there's these people saying, well, that's just egoistic and that's just selfish, and that, you know, then that's everything they say about ex-vegans. Yeah, that's just selfish. She doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care anymore. And it's like, that's not the whole picture. And yes, I'm just here to tell you right now, today, Jacqueline and everyone else who's watching, your life, yes, it is more important than the other life in the moment where you have to pull yourself out of an eating disorder. This is serious. This can ruin your life, and it probably has, and it can kill you. It's actually the mental disorder with the highest death rates, and you don't have to be underweight for that in order for it to be dangerous enough. You are sick enough. When you know you have a problem with food and you're not free around it, and you have all of these food rules and you are restricting, then that is serious enough in order for you to have to recover from it. And if you're only doing it halfway, or if you don't dare to do it because of the animals, then you are going to be the one being caught in it for life, because you're not going to get rid of these fears if you're staying in the restriction. And so the third thing that helped me was when I was in the Philippines, and actually I always say my husband, David, and we realized this. There is such a way as humane owning of animals or raising of animals and eating animal products. All of our neighbors there in our second home in the Philippines, they own animals, their own stock, and like not a lot of them, but they are just grazing all day. They are just, they're just walking around free, not even within a fence, like, maybe attached somewhere with a long rope or something, but super free, and they're super happy. They're just so content, and you just can see it at those animals. And this family is also taking some of sometimes for Christmas they had some turkey that was their own, or they are also having some milk from their cow. And what many people or many vegans don't want to believe is that, and I was one of them, is that dairy is pretty natural. And it's not only a case of, well, we are keeping cows pregnant for 20, like all of the time. And of course, that's not natural per se. And of course, the cow would not have chosen that if she had a choice. But there is this, like, you can have animal products. There's nothing unnatural about producing and eating animal products. And it's not really cruel to the animal also. Yeah, it was just really, really, really great to see that is possible, and that there are regions like this is how it used to be before the whole industry came into being. And so that really helped me. And the last one I want to talk about today is there is a difference. Like, you have to ask yourself, what are your motivations behind being vegan? Or what is your, yeah, exactly. So, because for me, it was always two. It was the right one and the wrong one. The wrong one was always the one that was attached to my eating disorder. So the right one was always 100% ethically. The wrong one was always that I'm just afraid of eating the other stuff. And it's just in order to please my eating disorder. And so the wrong one was always because I'm afraid. I'm just afraid. It comes out of fear. And I was talking with David about this the day before yesterday, and he said, yes, and that's exactly the difference between you and me. So he still is a vegan, and I'm still vegan at heart, as I said, and I hope that I can come back to at some point in my life. I hope that I can come back to it when I am where he is. And so that is the difference. And I can only come back to veganism when all of the fear in my head is gone, when I've rewired all of it, and I mean all, and I cannot decide when that's gonna be, or if that's gonna be. I just have to surrender. But I can only go back if or once I changed to how David is thinking about it, or how it's in his brain. And his brain is, he's not eating the animal products. It's not because of fear. There's no fear. Like he literally said he could eat anything. Like he wouldn't be afraid of anything health-wise, and also calorie-wise or weight-wise or whatever. He would not, like, that's not an issue at all in his brain. It's not even one thought. And so that's not any motivation behind him being vegan. The only motivation for him is the ethical motivation. That's the only motivation behind it. And so I always also had this ethical motivation behind it, just as much, like incredibly much, insanely much, so much that it hurts. And it hurt for me that I cannot be vegan right now. But it doesn't hurt as much when I know this is what I have to do in order to come back to life again. And there's nothing shameful about it. And if I can recover as much that I can get to the place mentally where David is, then I can go back. But I have to concentrate on now. This is now. Like, my task is now. This is what we have to do now. So this really helped me. And so that's the takeaway for you. You have to ask yourself, do you have two motivations behind it? Is it a mixture of both? Is it a combination? Is it, well, yes, I'm in there for the animals 110%, but, you know, at the same time, I'm also 110%, or even just a little bit is also enough for it to be too much in it, because of an eating disorder, and because I feel safe, and because I'm actually afraid of eating the other stuff. Because that is how your eating disorder justifies it, that you are vegan. And so if you have a mixture of both reasons behind veganism, behind your veganism, then that's a red flag. And then, in my opinion, there's no way around being not vegan for some time in order to recover from it. Because if you're not going to do that, you are going to not rewire. You are not going to be able to recover from it. It's just my opinion, my experience. I've tried it for a decade with veganism, and it was just not happening. So this is it for today. Open dialogue in the comments. Leave your feedback and criticisms and what you like about it and your experiences, and I'll see you next video. Bye.